This is what I think about St. Petersburg, Russia. First time I went there was in 1995. Back then in the early 90s, I had a hard time because I was unemployed for a couple of years. But then in 94, I began to drive a taxi cab. So I managed to get back on track financially. So that summer, 95, I took a couple of weeks off, and I had the money, and I saw an ad in the newspaper about you could go to St. Petersburg, Russia, and go to school, summer school, and learn the language and about culture, and live in a Russian family. And this was an opportunity to get away and experience something new. It was not that expensive, so I signed up, and then I took the bus to the airport, and I was supposed to fly there. It takes about an hour to get there from Sweden, so it's not that far away. But I at the airport I saw this airplane. It was very old. It was I think it was a Tupolev, very old aircraft, probably from the 60s. At least it looked like that. And entered the aircraft, and everything was so old-fashioned and very scary. And the plane took off, and I looked out of the window and saw the wings. I thought maybe the whole airplane's going to break or going to crash. And also the landing was an experience, was quite terrifying. So I arrived at the airport. At the airport, at least in Swedish airports, like a big airport, you walk to there's a passageway or whatever you call it. You walk it's like a tunnel, and you get straight into the airplane. When you arrive in St. Petersburg at the Pulkovo airport, it's like you have to descend the stairs, go down the stairs, and then we had to wait for a bus, and then the bus drove to the gate. So that seemed very old-fashioned to me. And the airport was kind of also very dark, gloomy place, and at the airport the tour guide was waiting for us. It was a young girl, and she spoke fluent Swedish because I think she had studied there in Sweden, so she took care of us. It was a young group of people in their 20s, and it was a small, like a van waiting for us, and we were supposed to drive to these various places, the families where we were supposed to stay. And this was an old van. It's like this Soviet-made Latvia. It was already a wreck. Man, it was supposed to be wrecked for a long time ago, and it was, for me, it was amazing that that they were allowed to drive in such an old vehicle. And I mean, it was in very poor state. So, and this young girl, she told me that you are going to stay on an island, in a family who lives in an island. And I thought, wow, that's perfect. An island sounds exciting. But that island was the Vladimir Island, Vladimirsky Ostrov, where this family lived. And so we arrived at this place, and an area, the Vladimirsky Ostrov, is like lots of high-rises. Some houses are high-rises, tall buildings, and it's like in concrete. No paint on those houses, so it looked very drab and depressing. And so we arrived at the house where I was supposed to stay, and in the neighborhood, it's like lots of car alarms went off. barking dogs all over the place, and we arrived at the house, and it's a wooden door, and in the entrance at the first floor, it's like water on the floor. I think because it's like the flooding, it was flooding, because I think they had a water leak or something there, so the floor was full of water. And I stayed at that family, and well, it was nice getting to know people. I spoke very poor Russian at the time, so I had to use my hands to explain. But they spoke German, the woman in the family, so I got along quite well with them. Although they were very greedy, like I already had paid for the meals, but she gave me these very simple meals. Not very. She did not put a lot of money into the meals. She cooked very simple meals, to keep the costs down. But she took the money that I had paid for my meals. She was like cheating me a bit. That was not very pleasant. So I took the metro each day to school, and I met these other people. The school was at Ploshchad Восстания. It's a square in central downtown St. Petersburg. International school. And it was nice to meet other young people, and we also made a couple of excursions to see the Petr Dvorets. It's like a royal castle, where the Tsar family used to live there. And it was nice to see all these places, to learn things about the country, history and culture and the language. So I really had a good time there that summer. I remember it very well. I have no regrets about going there. St. Petersburg, Russia, is like a huge city. I didn't understand that before I actually went there. I thought it was not that big, but these wide avenues, these huge squares, this grand architecture. This is the place where the Russian Revolution took place in 1917. So I mean, the central part of the city is quite beautiful. The weather is not that nice. In summer, it can get hot, but in the spring and the autumn, it's windy, rainy, cold. The weather is not that nice. And outside of the core of the city, outside the city center, it looks all the same. These various neighborhoods, it's like tall buildings, concrete buildings, and they have very good transport. They have the metro, the buses. It's easy to get around, and they have lots of museums in the city, in the center. So it's worth going there to see the museums and the tourist sites. Well, I think St. Petersburg is quite an anonymous city for its size. So, population of 5 million people, and not everyone knows about St. Petersburg. So it's still quite an anonymous place for Westerners. So, but if you have the time and the money to go and visit St. Petersburg, and you will be surprised.